Hello everyone, SoulsBorneFanatic here. I am back from my 3-month hiatus to discuss this new game that has been announced like a month ago, was it? It was a while ago, but I want to talk about it today. I want to talk about this game that was announced, maybe you heard of it. It's called Duskbloods, Fromsoftware's brand new IP. Directed by the man himself, Hidetaka Miyazaki, and this game is an exclusive for the Nintendo Switch 2. This isn't just any other game release. It's a seismic shift from not only from Nintendo, because it's going to be a game that comes out a year after the Switch 2 releases. This is another release from Fromsoftware that is a brand new IP, not an extension of, say, Elden Ring with Night Rain, or even DLC like Shadow of the Erdtree. Entirely brand new game. Who knows what to expect? So what makes the Duskbloods so special? I'm assuming that a lot of people who saw this game have probably never played a From Software game before. Maybe they've heard of them because of Elden Ring and, of course, Dark Souls, but I would assume that the vast majority of people have never heard of it because there's only one at the moment game that is on the Nintendo Switch. I think Nintendo consoles in general. I could be wrong there. And that's Dark Souls Remastered that was on the Nintendo Switch. And this audience hasn't necessarily been exposed to From Software very much in the same way that, say, example, PlayStation with Bloodborne, Demon Souls, or the PC market and Xbox, they both got to play those other Souls games, right? I feel like it's a very new market for them, and I think there's a lot of potential here. So for anyone who is in that ballpark of not necessarily being too familiar, From Software has made games, Souls games. They're known for Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, and these games have of course, they're challenging. They're challenging games. They have atmospheric worlds that pull you in and never really let go. I'm still thinking about Elden Ring 3 years later. That's what these type of games are going to do to you. And now that Elden Ring's coming to the Nintendo Switch 2, I think a lot of people will get to try it for the first time. As it's directed by Hidetaka Miyazaki, of course, it's going to be a masterpiece. But here's the kicker. It's a Nintendo Switch exclusive. From Software, a studio that mostly stuck to PlayStation and made 2 exclusive deals with them before in the past, and since forth has been strictly third party, making games for all 3 platforms, is now partnering with Nintendo for a console, not launch year, but the following year exclusive. This is huge. It's like as if you saw Mario on PlayStation. Probably not that huge, but I think it's a very significant moment. Why does it matter, right? It's because the Duskbloods could redefine what we expect from Nintendo's consoles going forwards. Making this deal with From Software is unprecedented, right? From Software is no stranger to making these exclusive deals with console manufacturers. They did it twice with Sony. Although now From Software is making a deal with a competitor of theirs, and as you may or may not know, Sony actually owns a stake in Kadokawa, which is the parent company of From Software, and they actually own, I believe, the biggest share of Kadokawa at this point. So they're now having a game that From Software is publishing on a rival console that isn't on their console, which is very interesting situation. Is bold. It's very bold. I think it will put a bit of pressure on Sony potentially. You got to fit some Bloodborne cope in there, but maybe Sony will finally do something with Bloodborne now. I don't think I don't think there's any other time really in Nintendo history where they've partnered up to make a game quite like what the Duskbloods is going to be. I guess you could say that third-party partnerships like this have happened before. I mean, you had the Zombie U for the Wii U, if anyone remembers that game. But it's going to be a very unique circumstance here because nobody makes games like From Software. I don't think I've really extensively talked about what makes From Software games so unique, in this video at least, but From Software games always manage to capture the sheer awe of discovery, you know, in terms of the level design, the new mechanics that they try to introduce, the boss designs, the lore. There's always something that keeps you drawn to the game. I can confidently say that every From Software game that I have played has not only not been a bad game, but been at the very least, a good game. And that's something that I find very hard to say about the majority of the developers in our current era. I think From Software stands as a true paragon of quality in this industry that often seeks to break out the most popular trends and chase after them. From Software typically just does what suits them, what they think is interesting. And I think that is a really unique perspective that they offer that you can't really get anywhere else. Not to say they are without their flaws. They have a dated engine that they tend to over rely on, and they don't always hit the marks on their games. A lot of people feel unsatisfied with the most recent Shadow of the Erdtree, and there's a lot of people who are dissatisfied with uh, Elden Ring Night Rain, which I guess you could say is chasing that Elden Ring high. But I guess it's a matter of perspective, really. It's not exactly more DLC or a full-blown sequel. It's them pursuing something that is attached to that IP, but is unique enough to separate itself. I'm just rambling, but Elden Ring sold a lot of copies, and how this will play in Nintendo, I will discuss. As everyone obviously knows, Nintendo has catered to a family-friendly, E for everyone audience with their titles. You got your Mario, you got your Kirby, you got your Zelda, you even got your Metroid, which is not family-friendly, but Mario Party, everything Mario. Okay, we know this. Everyone knows this. This goes without saying. But you're putting a mature game like the Duskbloods that is a cooperative game from what Miyazaki said. It's a what did he say? PvP, PvE. This move could broaden their audience a bit more than what they already are, and potentially pull in Souls fans like myself, which I did buy a Switch 2 actually. So I guess you could say because they skipped other platforms, they are selling consoles entirely for one game. That is the pull that From Software has. They did it for Bloodborne, they did it for Demon Souls, they'll do it again for the Duskbloods. This plays into the entire point of this video. This game right here has the potential to sell a massive audience into Souls games who either haven't really played them or have never heard of them. And on top of that, this game is already selling consoles. And the game's not even out yet. The game was just announced 3 weeks ago. This game has an immense amount of potential in how it impacts the launch of the Switch 2 and the future of From Software in the Nintendo audience, right? There's a lot of potential here. I know a lot of Nintendo fans that I'm friends with who never even heard of From Software until this direct, actually. And there's some who have, right? Who are scared to play the games, unironically. So I think that this has a big chance to bring in a lot of people to this new genre, right? This new subgenre of Souls games. The Switch 1 sold 150 million units. That's an insane number, okay? And then a billion software. If it could even do half of those numbers for the Switch 2 sales, imagine how much software they could sell. For not only just for the Duskbloods, but in general, right? The Duskbloods could be one of the top selling games for that console. Well, I don't think it could be. I think it will be. Because this game is playing into the marketing of the Switch 2 with the play together with everyone, with their off-red Discord that they were showing off. But From Software games have had their niche for a while, But now they've hit the mainstream with Elden Ring in 2022. They've built a very loyal fan base of people who will go anywhere to play their games. I'm part of it. I'm part of the problem. This game is a sleeping giant, and we're going to see insane numbers for this game that will blow people's mind. There's going to be so many people who are just now going to get into the Souls games, that are going to play Elden Ring for the first time, that are going to play maybe even the other Dark Souls games like Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, Ringed City, or the god-awful DLC from Dark Souls 2. Only one of them. But a lot of people will be playing Fromsoftware's titles for the first time, and this is a sleeping giant, everyone. There will be a lot of big things happening in 2026, and everyone is not ready. Nobody's fucking ready. I'm not ready. That is the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching. Have a nice rest of your day.